right, all right, all right. I believe we are live and in living color. We want to welcome everybody today to the Ebony-Opoly Q&A. Of course, we released the game a little while ago, June 19th, right here in this city, Fort Worth, Texas. We are sitting right here.
On Juneteenth,
On Juneteenth.
was our launch party.
And the first Juneteenth, there was a federal holiday.
On the same day.
So we launched it there. And just to level set right quick, my name is Dwayne Washington, one of the creators of Ebony-Opoly.
And my name's Alicia Hemphill, another co-creator. We have not with us today, but in spirit, Dr. Ruth Pauline Plummer, who lives in Israel. She's also one of the co-creators.
So today we're going to have some fun. We've been getting some questions from you guys. We do want to start by saying thank you so much for all of the people who have been purchasing the game and playing the game. For all, you need me?
There are people.
We got,
there are people on. We want to say hi to everyone on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. We're also streaming on Facebook,
yes,
YouTube, and thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in.
Yeah, so we love your questions. We got some questions already from people who have been sending in the questions. And let me tell you something. Let me just start with, wow, this game, we came out, we talked about it like just the other day, because I found the picture and sent you the picture of the day that the game was, what word do we,
It was
Inception.
formed,
conceived.
Yes.
The day it was conceived. So talk a little bit about that day.
Oh, that day. I didn't realize it was not that long ago. It was actually September 20th, 2020.
September 12th.
September 12th,
Yeah.
2020. On that day, that was probably 4 or 5 months after the George Floyd murder.
Mm-hmm.
It was fresh in everybody's mind. And, Dwayne and I, we have done filming together. So I have a brand called Beyond the Limitations. I've done television shows, and Dwayne is and his family, because this is a family affair. Everything he does is a family affair, okay? Had been recording my shows. And so we were wrapping up a training project, and on that day, we started talking. And as we were talking, I was sharing with him some of the, everybody during that time started delving into civil rights and African-American activities. And, myself had been part of a group of ladies who were learning about women in the movement. And as part of that, I was sharing with Dwayne just the excitement and the zeal that I saw the younger generation having, because they're learning about who they are. And I said, how do we capture this? How do we continue to make this something that our younger generation can be proud of? And so then Dwayne started sharing about his journey and his experience about a similar board game.
Right. And so, and we're going to get into that, to that particular type of board game in just a minute when we talk about where we're from, where we come from, because I want to make sure we cover that, and you'll find out what Alicia was doing, what I was doing, and that'd be pretty cool. But we want to remind you that if you're watching, no matter where you're watching from, if you're watching on the Ebony-Opoly Live, the Instagram Live, or any of the YouTube or the Facebook or my Instagram, wherever you are, you can ask questions. We're talking about Ebony-Opoly, the game. Today is our Q&A, and we've got a couple of other events coming up that we'll tell you about as well.
Yes, we do.
But I do want to level set and just say, wow. Did you think, like, that September 12th, we talked about it, did you think we would be here, a year and a half later?
No. And as a matter of fact, you said to me just yesterday, you said, opportunities arise. Lean into the opportunities, whether they're uncomfortable and whether or not you have experience with them or not. Lean into them, because you don't know where they're going to take you.
Yeah.
And so, no, I had no idea we would be here today.
I gotta say, because we get a lot of questions. I think that just to let you guys know, when we came up with this game, and we did all the research and everything, we put the game together, and the game came out, and we started pre-selling.
We
right?
started pre-selling.
And it was pre-selling so fast that we actually had to contact the manufacturer to airship some over early. You remember
Yes,
that?
I do. So just to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, our initial launch was 500 games. Mm-hmm. We knew that was going to be more than enough.
Yeah. Oh, that'll last us a year to sell 500 games.
We knew that was going to be more than enough, and we contacted a manufacturer in China. Well, you know the story with shipping, and you know the story with delays. A 4-week turnaround ended up being 12 weeks, 16 weeks. All this time, we're pre-selling the game. We're pre-selling ahead of time.
Yeah. And we thought, we might sell, 15, 20 games, And it was just moving and moving and moving. And even, so we had some airships so we could go ahead and get the games out. And then we did our official launch June 19th. And shortly after that, we were having to reorder.
We practically sold out. And I remember the meetings, every meeting we'd have, business meeting. I'd say, Dwayne, we need to order more games.
We need more games.
We need more games.
and I'm here to tell you, the reason I bring that up is that, do you have any kind of background in designing or making of games?
No. So that's one point I do want to cover while we're here. That's an interesting point. This was the first project of this magnitude that I've ever been a part of. And we talk about it all the time. We go, how did we do that? So September 12th, mm-hmm. we formed the company, or we conceived it.
Right.
But by December, we had formed a company. Mm-hmm. We had registered that company. We had selected the theme of the game, the mm-hmm. pictures, the design, the layout. We had a contractor to help us put it together. By December, 2 months later,
we were ready to go.
That game was ordered, and it happened that quickly with no experience on my part.
And none on
you probably had a little bit more than I did.
Not on game manufacturing. Like, so, when it came to literally designing a board game, I probably could have designed a software game easier than a board game, right? And we'll get into why I happen to know how to get it done in just a second. We talk about where it came from. Mm-hmm. But it, to this magnitude, was incredible. And there is something that I do want to talk about, because as we go through this journey and we talk about what we've done and some new things that are going into the game that are exciting that we've been doing, I want to talk about a little bit of some of the challenges so that you guys know that just because a challenge arises, that doesn't mean that, you have to stop moving, you have to stop going. The Lord will give you what you need to kind of move past. Because I don't even know if I want to say the name, maybe not, but this was not the original name of the game.
We had settled on what we thought was going to be the name of the game. Similar concept, but little to our surprise, what we didn't realize, and we realized it
at the same time.
The exact same time. We actually had already the design put in place with the old name, and it was ready to ship until maybe 4 or 5 days prior to pushing the button. We all came across
the same guy,
the same type of name, and we realized we couldn't use it because that would have been patent infringement or copyright infringement.
And the weird thing is, we did our due diligence. We researched the name to start off with, and we didn't find any conflicts or anything like that. And just so happened the week we were getting ready, we had already, like you said, done the design. Everything was there, it was ready to go. And we were getting ready to pull the trigger that next week. And over that weekend, we all, simultaneously.
Almost to the day.
Yeah, and apart from each other. So we came in the next week, like, hey, I found this other game.
We're in trouble.
And we're like, that's weird because I found a game too, and it was the same. We found the same guy. And let me tell you something. So here's the weird thing. And just to like guys, I'm telling you, go all in on stuff. We called the guy up.
On the spur. Okay, so that's another miracle moment. So this whole endeavor has been one miracle moment after the other. So we're on the phone. We're like, what do we do? What do we do? We found his number.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, how do we get in contact with him? Well, Mr. On the Spot, Johnny on the Spot, said, let's call him right now.
Clicked over, called him, got him on the phone. And it was interesting because we were trying to convince him to license us the name. Because literally, we were ready to go. We were like literally getting ready to send the email and wire the money. Like that week.
That moment.
And this guy was not budging. I mean, he's like, nope. Like, you haven't done anything with it. Like, we'll just pay you literally just for us to use the name. Like, you know.
We were looking for a win-win situation.
Yeah. We'll pay him a licensing fee, and but he was not having it. And in 24 hours, we had to change the name of the game, redo the artwork, and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember, and maybe you could. I think you filed for the actual trademark. Did we have to fix the trademark paperwork, or was that after?
No, we learned our lesson after that.
Okay.
So
all right.
Once we got the new name,
we trademarked ours.
Immediately went through the trademark search.
Gotcha. So that's when we got our Ebony-Opoly trademarked, but literally in 24 hours. And so the name of the game kind of matched everything so perfectly. However, think about like you have 24 hours to rename everything, like
everything.
The name of your company, the name of the game, all the collateral, and we did it. I can't even remember. Can you remember some of the other names we came up with?
We came up with our Ebony-Opoly.
I'm trying to remember. We had maybe these 4 or 5 names. I'm sure it's written down somewhere if I can find it.
Somewhere in our notes, our corporate notes.
And then Ebony-Opoly, just like, if there was 4 or 5, this one, everybody was like, that's the one. Like, let's go with that one. And we did it, and things changed. And it felt almost effortless looking back at it.
It did. It did. Those couple of months, and we only met like once a week.
Yeah.
So
Tuesday or something.
Just to put this in perspective, not only in that time did we form the company, but we were going back and forth because, when we were talking about this game on September 12th, I said, we've got you. No, at first it was me encouraging him to get it done.
Exactly what it was.
You got to do this. You've got to do this. And so actually a couple of weeks went by because you had to put together like an investment because I was going to just be an investor.
Right.
And so he sent the investment brochure to me, and I
Nope.
read it, and I was like,
nope.
this is not going to do it for me. I'm not. I said, I need to be a partner.
Yeah.
I need to be a partner in this. And he said, okay, let's do it. So there was still even less time, is my point. It's less time for us to put all this together.
And some kind of way, and guys, we'll talk about it today, but none of this was just thrown together. I mean, so like there's thought behind every single thing, and even more so as we'll talk about it a little bit today. And make sure that if you have questions, especially those that have been playing the game, make sure to ask them now on whatever social media platform that you're watching on, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or whatever you're watching on. Just add that. We've got people that are monitoring it, so they'll make sure to get those questions to us. But so we had only a little bit of time to put it together and understand that our background was not like we don't have 20 years worth of game making, experience.
No.
And the reason I say that is after we created it and it's out, I know you start getting hit up and I start getting hit up and people saying, hey, how do you do this? How do you put it together? And we didn't even realize like all the steps we had actually gone through. We just kind of did it.
We just kind of, because the reason why I think we had some purpose behind it.
Exactly.
It wasn't. We didn't want to do this just to make money.
Right.
We didn't want to do this to get our name out there. We had a purpose behind doing this, and it was for each and every person that's watching on whatever stream or broadcast you're on. We made this in mind for you and for the generations after.
You know, there's a lot of history behind this, and we also wanted to hopefully, as you see the game and how it's laid out, you'll see kind of how and important it is for us to be able to tell the entire story in its entirety, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but not just one side of it. We want to make sure to give a kind of a balanced thing on that, and in doing that, we were in, and we'll get to this in a minute. Like we were in another part. I'm pushing it to the next part, next thing. But we were in a certain part of the country doing something that we'll talk about in a minute, and it kind of dawned on us, like we're sitting down and we're talking with all of these people, and it dawned on us like the game is now part of the story. It's part of history.
It's part of history.
And that was a surreal moment. That was a very surreal moment. And so we put it together. It's a great game. We've got, I mean, all type of accolades everywhere. Everyone loves it. They play it. I love it. What I love the most, you know what I love the emails I love the most are the ones where they got a chance card and they were like, hey, it says this. Does that mean we have to do this? And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what it means.
That's exactly what it means.
So now with that being said, make sure to let us know if we got any questions or anything like that that's coming from us. I know is there any questions over there on that one?
I can't see it. I'm looking at it. I don't see any so far.
Okay, good deal. So if you do, make sure to bring those up. But one of the questions that we get all the time is, how did you guys come up with this?
How did we come up with this game?
How do we come up with it? And it's a blending.
Yeah.
Right? Things happen, and I didn't think about it till I sent that picture that it was September 12th. Yes, there's a question.
Of where can you buy the game?
Where can you buy the game? Ask them what city and state they're in. Okay. Now, if you are just watching and you're not in a city and state that actually has it there with you, then you can definitely just go online to ebony-opoly.com. EBONYOPOLY.com. So you can purchase it there. And while you're doing it, I'm going to give you a freebie. Use the code FREESHIP2022. All capital, free ship, like free shipping, 2022. And you'll get free shipping on that. So go there. And
So before we go any further, we want to make sure to thank the Doc Bookshop. We're actually filming from the Doc Bookshop in
Fort Worth,
Texas, where you can come and purchase the game also. So if you're in the Fort Worth area, come on over to the Doc Bookshop.
We will sign it.
We will sign it. We will sign it.
If I tell you what, here's what we'll do. If you're getting one today, right? If you come down to the dock, of course, we'll sign it. If we see, and make sure to keep me honest, if we see orders that come through today, we'll take the plastic off and we'll sign those prior to. So if you buy it online and we get the order today, then we'll make sure to sign those.
We'll sign it.
Okay.
And, yes, and that's what we're doing here at the Doc Bookshop.
Yeah.
So.
Another question? Yeah, I'm sorry. We're here until 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to come by, and if you have never been to the Doc Bookshop, I'm telling you, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is a jewel right here in Fort Worth, Texas. And actually, it's the jewel of Texas itself. It is one of, there's a handful of African-American owned bookstores that are here in the state of Texas. And I'm telling you, the Doc is one of the premier ones. I love these people. Danya and Donna and Mama, you know what I'm saying?
Family owned.
Family owned. I love them all. Come by. They know they're here. It's not just a bookstore. I mean, this is like a historical treasure. Come by, talk to them all. Danya will talk to you. Donna will talk to you. They'll tell you all history. Come in and make sure you sign the petition when you come through for Marcus Garvey. So come on by. you'll love this place. Now, what's the address here on Meadowbrook? 6637 Meadowbrook. I just know how to get here. It's around the corner from the Williams Chicken, across the street from the old Church's Chicken, down the street from the Popeyes Chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody likes chicken.
It's actually right next door to the auto parts store as well. So in the same shopping center as you go down Meadowbrook, maybe a mile or so west off of 820. So come by. We're here till 5 p.m. We'd love to see you. We'd love to sign that book. Sign that. We got a book.
Sign the game.
We may have a book coming.
I'm not surprised.
We've been saying book all day. We may have a book coming.
I'm not surprised. That's part of this journey.
So let's start back at the beginning of the journey, because that is the question we get all the time. Man, where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
And like I was saying, I didn't realize it was September 12th until I sent that picture this week. And the reason that's impactful to me is I wrote a piece about September 12th years ago.
Really?
Because, so like we talk about September 11th all the time and how important September 11th is. And what we never talk about is September 12th. Right? So think about this. There was mayhem and destruction on September 11th. We all seen it. We seen buildings fall, and we all know where we were and the whole nine. What we forget about is right after that. Remember, September 11th was on a Tuesday. September 12th, churches were full.
I remember that.
Full.
Jammed, packed.
Remember, people were writing on the backs of their cars, "Pray for our nation,"
yes,
all that kind of stuff. And people were coming together, right? They were coming together like never before. They were selling out of flags, American flags. People were putting them on the cars. And so I remember even in the moment that, I hope and pray that we keep the same camaraderie even when these flags become tattered.
Yeah.
Right? And so this being launched on September 12th and being able to tell the story of our full nation's history, right, to help us to come together and heal was so impactful when I seen the date.
Wow, that's really profound. Yeah. I thank you for explaining that, because I can definitely see it married really our vision and our goal for this game to be not just, we know it's primarily targeted for Black Americans, it's Black history, but we cannot forget that our Black history is in the context of American history.
Absolutely.
And that's the marrying, the coming together of telling the whole story to bring us together.
Tell the whole
that's
story.
That's good.
So speaking of the whole story, Alicia and I was filming at the studio at the warehouse. Shout out to the warehouse, Jim Austin down the street. So we were there, we were filming, and kind of as we were wrapping up filming, we were talking about another piece that I was preparing to film. And what we were trying to do is to help tell the story of how African Americans got to where they are now.
Yes.
In all situations. And so people say things like, "Oh, well, Black wealth is set to hit zero by 2050." Well, why? And when you start asking why, most of the wealth gap, because of the wealth gap. Okay, well, why do we have a wealth gap? Or most of it's because of home ownership. Or why do we have a disparity in home ownership, right? It goes back. Like, there's a reason that happened. It's not just there. And so in this piece was actually kind of inspired by a conversation that I was having with a friend of mine. He's a very prominent CFO, and he's a Caucasian gentleman. We were just kind of having a real conversation. He had some genuine questions, and he was like, well, Dwayne, talk to me. Like, what's up? Like, what's the deal? And so I started asking him questions that actually I knew the answer to, but I just wanted to kind of get it out. And I asked him what school he went to, and he told me. And I said, "What about your father?" And he's like, "Same alma mater. My grandfather went to the same place." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I said, and I asked him. I said, "Would you attribute your success to your schooling?" And he said, "Yeah." And then where I grew up, and got me some good values, and I got a good education, and it's propelled me to be able to be successful, which makes sense, right? I mean, your environment kind of produces that. And I asked him, "Okay, well, where'd you grow up?" And he told me. And I said, "Okay." And I asked him, and this was the question that kind of got him. This because I was waiting for him to ask me a question. I said, "Growing up, how you doing? Come on in and have a seat." I said, "Growing up," I said, "were you guys Republicans or Democrats?" And he said, oh, we were conservative. I said, what about your father's house and grandfather's? He said, oh, conservatives. And he said, okay, well, what about you? I said, well, when my mom was born, her mom couldn't vote, so it really didn't matter. Right? And that kind of changed, because a lot of times we think, 400, 500 years ago, no, when my mom was born, her mom could not vote, right? And then I asked him, I said, now, because I knew the history of that particular school, I said, now going to school in your school, because he was roughly 25 years my elder. I said, do you remember seeing any African Americans in your school? He thought about it. He was like, no. I said, of course not, because they weren't allowed.
They weren't allowed to go.
And also, the area that you lived in was redlined. We couldn't live there either.
That's right.
And he was like, I never thought about that. I said, well, think about the fact that all the things that you said that made you successful, your upbringing in your area, your town, right? And it's not to say we couldn't have African American towns that breed success, but I'm just saying his upbringing, his town, all the school that he went to, right? Basically everything that he made him successful was off limits to African Americans.
Off limits.
So when we talking about disparity, we have to kind of start there. It's like not having access to these things, right? And I told him, and this is one that kind of hit him. I said, you know what? I said, you got to understand. How you doing? Come on in and have a seat. I said, you got to understand that me, in my age, I am the first generation born free in America from an African American perspective. And my mom heard me say that one time on the news or something. She was like, boy, what you talking about? I was born free. I'm like, no, you weren't. I said, you can this is part of the game. You can only go to the zoo one day a year. Here in Fort Worth,
Texas.
Yeah, where we're sitting right now, you had Negro Day. You had one day a year you can go to the zoo. Anybody in here over 60, over 65? I want to throw y'all. Okay, all right. Were you here?
No, I was in Alabama.
Okay.
We don't want to. Alabama.
Yeah.
And we could talk about Alabama, right? I mean,
I know all about it. I was there for it. I got a phrase.
You already know.
You remember? Yeah.
So we're talking about, like, I'm the first generation born that did not have to overcome those types of. I could go to the zoo whenever I wanted to. I could go to the fair. I did not have to wait to Negro Day or Negro Achievement Day to go to the fair. But the generation before me did, right? And so really, a lot of times we compare Generation 1 to Generation 40,
right?
And say, and in the context of Generation 40, not just comparing them to like separate, like one country versus another. No, these people inside of this other people, and I'm like, you got to think about what you're doing, right? Because not only are we starting from ground one, like literally, we have a country that passed laws specifically to keep us down.
And there are some of those laws still in place today.
Absolutely, and even where there's such things as vapor in the tank, right? Even where the law isn't there, so like a lot of times we don't have the red line laws, but we have the
effect of it.
Correct.
Right. The consequences.
So if that weren't the case, we wouldn't have a black side of a town.
Right.
That wouldn't exist. There's a reason why that existed. So on my side, what we're doing is creating a game that was kind of like Monopoly, right? So I want you to think about Monopoly and have groups of people play it. But the only thing is that they would have to be able to play with the rules of that day. And each round would represent about 50 years. So they would play around, and then theoretically their sons would take over, and they would play around in 50 years, 50 years, 50 years. Well, the only thing is that, so we start, 3 white guys and a black guy playing, right? Now the black guy, and starting with the year of 1619, okay? So the black guy doesn't have dice because you don't control your mobility. You're owned by somebody, right? You have no control. And everyone else can move about and they can get money. And the guy who owns you can rent you out and actually add to his wealth. And so when those 50 years go by and then their sons take over, well, the black guy's still in the same situation and he doesn't inherit anything, right? And this is how the law was written. Right? And so then when the law allowed you to be able, as African Americans, to purchase, thank you very much for purchasing those games. Did you buy them out?
Are they out? Sold out?
You didn't buy them out, did you? You're looking. I don't know. They got a few more? Okay.
Okay.
So when the law changed, it said, okay, now African American men, you can own land, but you can't pass it to your children. So same thing is now when the next set takes over, they can't get anything from it because they can't inherit land, right? So fast forward from 1619 to 2019, right? So in 2019, everything looks the same. everybody can pass go. Everybody can collect $200. Everybody can own property, right? The issue is one of those guys is starting at generation one. The other three have the benefit of 400 years of not only their forefathers, but his forefather as well, because his forefather helped to build their wealth. And the issue is they're judging him by the same standards, right? Now, that's not to say we can't be successful. It's not to say that I mean you're seeing two very successful people sit in front of you, right? That's not to give a victim mentality. That's just to understand where we are and where we came from, right? So when we see an issue and problem, when we see an effect, there's a cause associated with it. So now we go forth to September 12th, and me and Alicia were talking.
I want to stop there for a second, Dwayne, because
what Dwayne is sharing with all of us is the original inception or the original concept for the game before we met. And that point that you just made, that there's generations and there's differences within generations and the effects of those differences. That's a very important part because we brought that into this game. And so I want to say, because you made a very astute observation, you said forward now to 2019 and everything looks the same. So I know many of us have had these conversations with people, of different race than us, and they want to understand, they don't understand why. Why can't we just get over it?
Right.
Why can't we just do something different? And this is a very important point because, unfortunately, this part of American history has never been shared, has never been communicated, definitely has never been lived. And even though the people that we see around us did not create the circumstances for today, they still benefited from today. So we need to, I just wanted to highlight that. Because that's a really important part of some of the way that this game is played.
It's interesting because, I don't want people to look at, from a victim perspective or not. I want them to look at it from an understanding perspective. And so to do that, when we look at like the Holocaust, we can all agree that was horrific. Let's put people in ovens, let's kill people, and I mean, if you can't agree that that's horrific, then we got to have a whole different conversation.
Whole nother conversation.
and that went on for 4 years. That's 1,200 days or whatever. That's a long time. And now we have museums across the world that kind of help us remember. Partly so that we don't recreate that. If you go to Germany, they have education around that. You can't go to Germany and just fly a Nazi flag. Now understand that, and Nazi, a lot of times we associate Nazi Germany with Hitler. Understand that flag was there before Hitler. But you still can't even just fly the flag. You can't walk down the street with you just can't, right? It's against the law.
And I was in Germany a couple of years, I think it was last year, and the schools teach that their road trips. It is a part of their core curriculum. So not only are the Jewish nation and people, their histories reminding others in Germany where that happened, those stories continue to be told, and taught, and infiltrated, integrated into the psyche of that nation.
And so part of it is so that they realize, this is horrible. This shouldn't have happened. It did happen. Let's not repeat it. Right?
Let's not repeat it.
When you go to South Africa, apartheid, that's new. I mean, that was lifted during our lifetime. They have these honest conversations like, it's jacked up. Like some of the people saying, we did that. They were the people who actually did it.
Right.
And so they're having these real conversations. And once again, the atrocities in Nazi Germany that's 4 years.
4 years.
So now we have the atrocities in America that were 400 years. I mean, so we would never go up to a Jewish person and say, man, y'all just need to get over that.
Right.
That would be insensitive.
I didn't do it. Why are you talking about it today?
It wasn't even in this country.
Right.
That would be extremely insensitive. And so for those that can't really understand like why we would feel that was insensitive, I mean, imagine like literally that's still dictating some of your way of life here. And having the vapors associated with that for 400 years, and somebody saying, "Oh, well, just get over it." Like, I mean, that's very insensitive to say. So now, but that's kind of where I was coming from, and then Alicia steps in, and I'll let you take it from there because you were on your own path
Yes.
of something that I just never even conceived.
Consider, yeah. So as I shared not too long ago, we were all reeling from a very real tragedy in our nation. And it sparked a lot of conversation. I can't say this was the beginning. I can go back and think. I can remember back to the days of Rodney King, but the George Floyd murder just really rocked everyone. And for the first time, there were honest conversations being had. But more importantly to me, the younger generation was interested. And so it was an opportunity to really understand the roots. Where did this come from? Why are we continuing to have this problem? And so what I saw was and what inspired me, because I'm a teacher, motivated person, I saw the next generation wanting to understand themselves, wanting to understand their history like they've never heard before. It's not just on one day, right?
Right.
At the same time, Dr. Plummer, who's in Israel, was interested in instituting a night for Black families, and it's called Black Family Fridays. And so once a week, the concept was that families would come together and cut off the TV, shut down the phones, and we used to do this Sunday after church. We always have Sunday dinners.
Yep.
And we got away from that as a family. And so we wanted to do that on Friday and bring the family together. And I said, but they need something to do other than eat, right? So there were these three passions, 3 ideas, 3 desires that were motivated. I say it's a purposes. And September 12th, all 3 of those coalesced together to form this game.
So talk a little bit about the women in the movement.
So the women in the movement, Dr. Ruth Plummer, everybody responded differently to the events that were occurring. And so teacher-motivated people do what? We set up opportunities for people to learn.
Yeah.
And so we started a Zoom class open to everybody. And it was targeted to really that generation, the 30s, the 40s. We invited Lady Kathleen Steele, who is married to Dr. Charles Steele, who is the current sitting SCLC president. The SCLC, and those of you who may not know, was actually formed by Dr. Martin Luther King. So we invited Lady Steele to come and to teach us women about where was our place in the civil rights movement? Where were we? We all know, Dr. King and Jesse Jackson and everyone else that are famous. But what were we doing? Were we at home cooking? No. What were we doing? And
laundry? Like, what was going on?
Right? And we weren't. We weren't. Young women. Elder women from the North, women from the South. We learned about people like Diane Nash, who was organizing young college students across the nation for sit-ins. They were very effective. People like Mamie Till Mowbray. Actually, Lady Kathleen Steele is being interviewed today about Mamie Till Mowbray.
Wow.
Emmett Till's son. And so we were learning about these women, and we realized, this was a piece of our history that had been hidden from us.
Right.
We were not in the backgrounds. We were on the forefront. Women in the movement, in the civil rights movement. And the women who were on the call were, and this was over a period of 12 weeks, I saw the light go on in their eyes. All of a sudden, the history was not rewritten, it was uncovered, it was revealed.
Yes.
and they saw themselves reflected in a part of history that shaped this nation. And I saw things that I wanted to always replicate. I saw pride, I saw confidence, I saw interest, I saw passion that I've not seen really in people. And I want to say this. We get excited about all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
We get excited about football. We get excited about money and new jobs. We get excited. But to get excited about your identity and your purpose, that's lasting, right? Football games, it's already over. Everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
But this stayed with me, and I wanted to capture that, and that is what I brought to the conversation on September 12th.
So imagine that background, right? And the background of the piece that I was putting together from a film perspective. And so Alicia finds that out. She was like, well, how much is the game? I'm like, well, it's not for sale.
Because it hadn't been created.
It's like, this is like a concept. She's like, well, but you should sell it. I'm like, no, it's not even like real. It's like a mocked up thing. And she was like,
no, you need to sell this.
I'm like, it's not retail ready. She goes, can you get it retail ready? I'm like, yeah, I could, She's like, I tell you what, and that's when she's like, I'll be the first investor. I'm like, we are going to get it retail ready. We're going to make it happen. And by Friday, like that's when Dr. Plummer was in Google Dr. Pauline Plummer. I'll just say that.
Dr. Ruth Pauline Plummer or Dr. Pauline Plummer, and you will just be floored.
Yeah. If you want to know who she really is, there's no way for me to truly, just Google her. And an hour later, after you're finished reading all of the accolades and everything, then you'll understand who we're talking about. So Alicia brought in Dr. Plummer, and I see Sharisha is here.
Ooh, give it up for Sharisha.
It was us four, just like researching, coming up with different things. Alicia came up with the idea, let's do 4 different pillars. We talked about sports and economics, business and laws with the political stuff, government. So we had those pillars that we were going after, and we were just researching different things. And so even these little chance cards, like when you read them, they go back to some. It may seem like they're all generic, but understand that they're not generic. And not only are they not generic, they're not generic to the thing they're talking about. It still comes down to an individual. Perfect example is this card says, your successful business in the Tulsa Greenwood neighborhood burned down during the 1921 riots, lose one property. And we're actually changing this card because after going to Black Wall Street and being with them at the museum, we're changing that 1921 riot to 1921 massacre. Right. So it's even getting better. But like when we talk about, your successful business, even though that happened all over Greenwood, right? We still narrowed it down to like this individual person is the one that lost it. So a lot of research went into it. So we came up with the idea there, and then literally we just start saying, okay, we wanted all of these squares. So guys, all these squares that you see on the game.
Hold on.
Let's put it up so you can see it. Okay, can they see that on the screen? Can that be seen? Brian, you see it? We got the best technical team here. Y'all give it a hand for them. They're doing their thing. Y'all can do better than that, man. Woo! So all of these squares here are important from an African American historical perspective. So when you see these little stations here, the railroads. Now Monopoly, you'll say, okay, well, yeah, those are railroads. Here, these are stops on the Underground Railroad. When we see things like Spelman Lane and Morehouse Drive, how many of y'all know about Morehouse? Yes, you know a little something about Morehouse. Yeah. You know what I didn't know about Morehouse? Because when I was in high school, we were touring around trying to figure out what college we want to go to. And I figured Morehouse would be a good college. You know, it's all boys. I won't be distracted. You know, what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
right.
It'll be great. Hey, Donna, how you doing? Once again, we want to tell you we're at the Doc Bookshop
Bookshop.
here in Fort Worth, Texas. We've got Donna and Danya in the house, both sisters. Mom just figured I'll just you know, I'm not gonna make up any new names. I'm just gonna do the same version.
Dwayne.
Just keep going. She's like my mom too.
It's a good name.
I promise you, I'm like one of her sons. I look just like all of these people. So we went to Morehouse thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to concentrate and the whole night. They didn't tell me. Spelman and Clark Atlanta are like like literally right next door, and the ratio was way off. It was like 16-1. I'm like, yeah.
This is not good, conducive environment for learning.
No, I'm not going to be able to concentrate here. I need to stay in Texas. I need to go to UNT. I need no distractions there. But let's just say that maybe you're not familiar with Morehouse. Maybe you're not familiar with Spelman. Well, check it out. And for those that are watching here, you know, we get these cards inside of Monopoly, and guess what? You turn the card over, that QR code, okay? There's a QR code right there on the back of that thing, of that card. You can scan that QR code. It takes you online and tells you all about that property. So we have Greenwood Avenue here. Maybe you're not familiar with what Greenwood Avenue is. Well, after you scan the back of that card, you'll be familiar with Greenwood Avenue. And so it'll tell you all about Black Wall Street, give you the history around it. But now, to make things even better, Alicia, tell them what we've been doing around the country.
So we have so most of these properties, they are either associated with a place, an institution, or a street. And each of those locations are significant to Black Americans, Black history. And so what we've been doing, because we added, this is not on your normal Monopoly board game. No one has this. So we're making history, all right, with Black history. We knew we wanted people to not just, because think about it, you just mentioned the railroads, B&O Railroad or Park Place. Why is that significant? You don't really know. You just know it's just a name on a board. Well, we wanted not only these properties to be significant, but we wanted you to understand why they're significant to our people, to our history. So what we've been doing is the first round of the game, or the first set of games, really we just had enough time because it was only, weeks, hours since we put this game together.
Quickly.
And so we did associate descriptions of the property. But at this version, what we've been doing is we've been traveling to these locations. We went to Greenwood Horizon Museum and met with Phil Armstrong, who's now the director of that museum. And we all of us went. That was just a phenomenal. So we got to tour the area. And when we went to meet him, he sat down with us. You'll see one of the pictures. Go look on our history of Instagram. You'll see the pictures from that. We got to talk to him. You know, the challenge with history books written for school is they only tell a snippet of the story. They tell the event, they tell the date, a couple of people, and then you're off to the races. But you really don't understand really what happened. And so in this interview with Phil Armstrong, man, he began to pull back secrets. Yeah. He revealed secrets about the massacre. He revealed details that we didn't even know. He talked about the struggle, even now, to get that museum up and running. Yeah. The challenges, you know. And I'm gonna put a pin in the story, but I want to back up a little bit. I'm gonna get back to that, but you know, one of the themes from this game is, speaking of challenges, is this game represents
a history of Americans, okay, that were put in situations that were less than fair, okay? It was oppressive, it was destructive, but my God, we look at us today and we're still here.
Yeah.
You know, we're
Thriving.
We're thriving, we're growing, and we're continuing to take back ground. So it's just a part of our history that we want to communicate and convey. So fast forward to Phil talking about the challenges of just getting that museum. Something that has happened years ago, many years ago, being unsurfaced and uncovered, and the pressures, the battles, the adversity, but that museum is there. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. And so we captured that on video. And now when you scan this QR code, you're not going to just go to a site that has pictures, which is good. It's educational. Mm-hmm. But now there's a historian that's talking about things, secrets that nobody knew about before. So we are super excited.
You know, I'm going to talk about one of the things that actually, for those that are watching around the country, we're sitting in Fort Worth, Texas at the Dock Bookshop. And if you're anywhere in Tarrant County in Texas or in Fort Worth, come by. Donna and Danya will take care of y'all, won't you? They got thumbs up. So they're going to take it's a great bookstore, African-American owned and family owned. And they will take care of you. But I'm going to tell you something that probably, how many of y'all here live in Fort Worth? Y'all live in Fort Worth, right? I'm going to show you something that you probably never thought about. And I'm going to use the Black Wall Street to understand that. Because they went through several, that we know about the massacre that happened. It came through, and I won't tell the whole story today, but they, go Google it. But they burned up the town. And we know about that.
Of a prosperous, thriving, financially growing African American community.
Absolutely. Now, after they burned that down, things actually got progressively worse. Insurance claims weren't paid. Then they tried to say, well, if your land or area cannot withstand fire, then you can't come stay. That's why you see some people actually start putting bricks down with tents to be able to meet. Matter of fact, there's a picture you'll see with two guys sitting there with a tent over them on some bricks. Those were two lawyers that actually were able to get that law changed. So things continue to happen. And one of the things that happened that affects us, a lot of those companies rebuilt, okay? And they start thriving again, okay? And then you know what they did? They put a freeway right through the middle of it to destroy those towns, right? Now, I'm going to tell you something you probably hadn't thought about. Whenever you look at the grid of the United States and you look at freeways that end in 0, they go east and west, and they start from 10 all the way up to 90. That's why 10 is down in Houston. You got 20 coming through the south side of Fort Worth, 30 through the north side of Fort Worth, right? And then whenever you have those that end in a 5, they go north and south. That's why we have 35, 45, 95,
35, yeah.
5, you know what I'm saying? All the way from the west side of the country to the east side, okay? And then whenever you have a 3-digit interstate, that's a loop around some freeway. Like here in Fort Worth, we have 820, right? It's a loop around 20, okay? All of those either loop, go east and west, or north and south, okay? Think about 287. 287 cuts right through the middle of what? The hood. That was purposeful, okay? Right through the middle of the black neighborhood, we're going to tear up all that stuff. We're going to get rid of all those businesses that were there. Y'all just been here so long, you didn't even think about it. What other freeway you know goes diagonal like that? In Texas. Can't think of one. Right? And so those are the types of things that were done systematically. But like I said, we don't even think about it anymore. Right? So think about that was your business. That was your land, right? Using eminent domain to be able to take it. And that's on the game too. My great grandfather on my father's side. Y'all ever heard of Tennessee Colony? Most of y'all know it. If you do know it, because there's some prisons there, right? That's my great grandfather's land that they took to be able to build that, right? So when we look at eminent domain, look at all the things that happen, right? It's even affecting here in town. You didn't even think about it, right? 287 goes right through the middle of all of that. All right. I want to pause for a second to see if we have any questions from anybody online, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're watching YouTube. or any questions in the audience. You guys got any questions so far? Yes, sir.
So how did you value, as a business guy, how did you value the properties?
The properties or the game itself?
Like Morehouse is undervalued.
Okay. Okay. So check this out. So sir that I've never met before, kind of. Why? What is the reason that you particularly would say that Morehouse, for those that don't know, is HBCU, a school in Atlanta, is undervalued? What research do you have to say that it should be valued more from a real estate perspective?
Right.
Oh, this gets better. Like I just thought about it. Okay, so let's talk about why you would say it's undervalued.
No, I said, how did you value?
No, you said it's undervalued. You said Morehouse is undervalued.
It seems to be undervalued.
Oh, it seems
because it's the hood, right?
And it's right after right after you pass go.
Yeah, we call that the hood, right? So you got Spelman and Morehouse right there
in
together.
Atlanta, if you were in Atlanta having this conversation.
Oh yeah, it'd be a tough conversation to have.
Well, but one thing you could say is it's the first.
It's the first after start.
The So I will say this, right? So from a value perspective, Morehouse and Spelman aren't any less valued than Nicodemus and Greenwood. Okay, but what I will say is that they're more known, right? So you're going to know the average person knows Spelman. The average person knows Morehouse. When we start getting over to Pullman Way, you're like, where'd that come from? You know, when we get up to what was it? I
Park
forgot.
Place.
Park Place and Boardwalk.
Boardwalk.
Like you look at Nicodemus Avenue, you're like, where did that come from, right? And why is that? I'm glad you said that. Why is that value so high? Why is Greenwood valued so high? So some of that was, hey, let's draw some intrigue to make you go look at what that really is. But when you look at, I will never devalue an HBCU because, as we all know, great people have graduated from HBCU, including but not limited to Morehouse. Okay, make sense?
I understand.
Right. Does that satisfy your?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You understand it better? Yeah. So it's more like familiarity, right?
Okay.
To drive interest. Yeah.
And you had a question?
Oh, yeah, I was wondering, oh, who's,
Oh, you had a question too?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm just speaking.
Okay. Hey, what's going on? What's happening? Come on in and have a seat. Yes, ma'am.
my question is, what made you all start with that particular time in history?
What made us start with that time in history?
And do you plan to do other moments?
Good question.
So why the Reconstruction and post-Reconstruction era? Okay. Well, let me ask you the second question first. Yes, we have more versions coming in. Okay. I'm only going to tell you about one, but there's 3 more versions. But I'm going to tell you about one, Civil Rights Edition. Okay, which everybody would expect, right? But Reconstruction is interesting because, you know what, Killer Mike. To quote Killer Mike for a moment, they were in Atlanta and they were doing a panel, and they were talking about they really were talking about the quote from Donald Trump, "Let's make America great again," and as a lot of African Americans were saying, when exactly was that? Give me the year that was, right? 1950? Which that's like most people will go back to the values of 1950. I have to remind my Caucasian friends, I wouldn't have been able to vote, okay? So no black person wants to go back to 1950. Not that I know, right? So when, and I'm glad somebody said it, Killer Mike's the one who said it, he said, I'm going to tell you when America was great, 7 years after beginning of Reconstruction. Right? When you look at what we were really doing, when you think about, we've seen video of slaves speaking about slavery ending, and they're like, yeah, they just turned us out like cattle. They just opened the door, like no skills, no nothing. When we talk about reparations, what a lot of people don't realize, the government paid reparations to the slave owners, right? Because you lost property, you're going to lose money. We want to make sure that you're okay. So they did pay reparations, just not to former slaves. They paid them to slave owners. And so it is amazing when you look at, like, 1863 to 1865, this period where now, you're about to have this liberation, but it's a liberation up to absolutely nothing, right? And then within 20 years, we have all the things we have. You have, W.B. Du Bois graduating from Harvard with the MBA, within 20 years, what, 1896 or something like that. So when you look at the era that is the golden age, really, from African Americans' perspective here in America, like that's it. Like that's when it hit. So that's kind of why we hit that era. It's when you look at the game, it kind of extends a little bit beyond that. Of course, we got the riots, 1921, kind of after Reconstruction, but still, in that era, that's kind of why, because we see so much on civil rights, but we really hear nothing on Reconstruction, right? Not realizing that's kind of the crux of what you're talking about, like real black wealth, real black power culminating in that arena, that togetherness. When we look around the country, you see areas like Lakewood, like Pikesville, Maryland, like the 5 cities, and where Jewish communities come together and they do phenomenal things, and we know that. But what we didn't know is that African Americans were doing the same thing.
Right.
So it's kind of to bring that up.
And it's also the beginning of the reaction to seeing blacks begin to build wealth, begin to run for Congress, begin to be part of the Senate, become part of the shaping of the nation. There was an immediate reaction in the form of laws and codes implemented that this game begins to allude to and share and to uncover, which led directly up to the reason why civil rights had to come into play, to reduce, to eliminate, to protest against that. So it's really the beginning of some of the economic inequalities, some of the laws that have been put in place that are impacting our countries, our communities, our ability to continue to build wealth today. So we wanted to make sure we captured that, codified that, so because it's really the starting place.
Yeah. We've heard of, and I'm coming.
Did you have a question?
We've heard of the Voting Acts, right, 1965, which if you don't realize the changes in the last few years, you should really look that up. It'll make you understand what's happening in Texas and Georgia and other places around the country. But what a lot of people didn't know is that we had a Voting Acts, right, of 1865, 100 years earlier, right? So this is kind of the beginning of that. Yes, sir.
Yes. I was reading a book, and it was by Dr. I think he wrote the foreword, Dr. West.
Cornel West?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said our black experience here in America can be put into 2 columns. He said we had gone through a period of niggerization, and then now we're in a period of de-niggerization.
You know what? I would agree with that.
And also,
and I would hope that we could get into that second form quicker. I would say that sometimes we've been in both situations simultaneously.
of course.
Yeah. And, go ahead.
It is what I see happening even now, and you refer back to what we've gone through the last 400 years, is that what the majority community fears is more than anything is black excellence.
One of the things that and lately I've been it probably came because I used to live in Pikesville, Maryland, right? And Pikesville, Maryland, for those that don't know, is a Jewish community. Like it is Jewish, like curly hat, no meat, like in the city, Jewish, right? And I didn't realize it at the time because it's literally right next to Baltimore, which is very, very black, extremely chocolate, right? It's a chocolate city. And so here you have this extremely Jewish place literally right next to this all chocolate place. And to watch how they move and operate and work together was a marvel to me. I mean, like literally from ownership to how they worked and the whole, it was just amazing. And I was saying, and we talk about Orthodox Jews. So there's roughly 15 million Jewish people in the world, right? There's about 1.5 or so million Orthodox Jews in the world, right? So to put that in perspective, there's more black folks in Dallas, in DFW, and in Houston than all of the Orthodox Jews in the entire world, right? When we talk about black folks, there's 1.2 billion black folks on the planet, which is probably a number most of us have never heard, right? You got to ask yourself, why is that? You know, why have I? So the amount of power, whether it's economic, you have it, that we have as a people collectively, is undeniable. The issue has been that systematically around the world, call it whoever, call it the enemy, whoever, systematically around the world, we haven't been able to coalesce, right? And so now, to be honest with you, I'm starting to see movements around the world that are starting to do that. How do we get together economically? How do we tie ties together across different nations, across different, economic situations, across different cities and states? Because I think that we could build an economic powerhouse without the need for geographic proximity. We don't have to be in the same place, right? So I could do business with you and you're in Dubai, right? And I can help support your business. There are businesses that we support in other countries, like they don't have to physically be here, right? You see what I'm saying? So just like people can do business with China or whatever, like we can do business with each other around the planet, right? But and that's and it's important for us to realize that we can say that and not feel bad,
Right.
I'm not saying that, hey, we hate other people. No, Jewish folks, they just have a community. We're here to. We were watching something the other day, and back in like I think it was the early '70s, Warren Buffett he had a Jewish teacher, and he was the only guy that made an A in the class and the whole nine, and he was wanting to go to work for him, and the guy was like, man, no. He's like, you can get a job anywhere on Wall Street. You can get a job. He said, but these Jewish people over here, because that time it was, racism was rampant. He's like, they can't get a job anywhere, so I need to hire them to be able to bring them up, right? And for us, a lot of times, if we get in positions of power, we do just the opposite. Well, I don't want to hire anybody black because that doesn't look right. They'll say, oh, you're just hiring black people, right? We're the only people to do that. I've never seen anybody say, well, hired too many white guys. I was just it's looking kind of white over here. I don't know about that. I've never heard anybody say that, right? And so, not that there's an issue or problem with either one of them. I'm saying there's no issue with saying, let's look at a segment of the population that's been systematically disadvantaged from an economic perspective, and say, how do we help, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that we've been ashamed to say that for 40, 50 years, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong. When you see this banner, we went out and found, African American folks that can print stuff, that can write stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what when we can find it, you see like little signs. You see when you go to the stores and purchase it. Those are African American owned stores. It's not on Amazon.
Nope.
Right?
Not on Amazon. Not in Walmart.
No.
Not in Target.
No. It's just not because those people don't need any help from us economically. We want to make sure that those bookstores that, if you notice that most bookstores when you come in here, the overwhelming majority of people are African American. Okay, so let's support those people that are supporting the
community.
Yeah, the community. Does that make sense? Right. Any other questions? Did you have? Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So Betty Washington, she has 2 questions. So she wanted to know, what does the niggerization and deniggerization mean?
Okay, we're going to handle that in a minute. Give me the second question.
And the second question, she wanted to know, how does she get in contact with you two?
Oh, send an email, info@ebony-opoly.com. All right, you can just put that back on there. I'm going to let you explain it.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a process. It was a process in my mind. I really haven't delved into it too much, but it was a profound statement that stuck with me. And
What was the name of the book?
Read the book.
David Hilliard, Spirit of the Panther. He was Huey's chief of staff.
Okay, so
Okay,
He
well,
wrote the fall. Wes wrote the fall.
right.
got it.
So let me put it in very specific terms. I'll use my family. Okay, and my grandfather would tell me that when he was a kid, he got called the N word so much he thought that was his name. Everywhere he went. I remind people that some of the mannerisms that we have are by design. So we will say, for example, man, we just can't work with black folks. Who put that idea in your head? Black folks just can't work together. Now, if you're not a black folk, you probably never heard that. But if you are a black folk, raise your hand if you've heard that before. Black folks just can't work. Yeah, amen. Black folks just can't work together. Who said that? We used to have to work together. We didn't have a choice.
That's right.
Right? So when we talk about the infiltration, let's talk about music just for a moment. If we look at hip hop music of today's time, you're gonna see killing, all this, you name it. And if we look at our communities, the same problems are in the community. And people will say, well, yeah, people are just rapping about what's in the community. No, that's not it. I owned a recording studio for 16 years. That is not what happened. I own a record label. That is not what happens. Those kids are not rapping about what they're going through. They'll come through there rapping about women and gripping grain, and they ain't never had a girlfriend, and they walked up there. Okay? The issue is that's what's being put on the radio for them to play. So if they want to be successful, that's what they got to write. Okay? Now, who owns the radio station? Who owns the labels that was putting that stuff out? Okay? So, and if you think what I'm saying is not proper, I would just ask you to do one thing. If you're a rapper, go put a Jewish slur in one of your songs and see if it plays on the radio. Just see. You can call each other ends all day. You can talk about each other's mama. You can do all. You heard what was the comedian's name? Dave Chappelle. He was like, now he used a particular slur for gay people, and they said, oh, you can't use that. He said, okay, I'll take it out. He said, now why is it though I can use the N word with impunity, right? But I can't say this slur on gay people. He said, well, you're not gay. He said, I'm not an N either. See, it's okay for you to do all of that. You can do whatever you want to. That's why I say we're in both at the same time, right? Because now we've got to retrain our mind to say, we didn't come from slaves. We came from architects that were stolen.
Right.
We came from traders. We came from and we survived, right? And we can still thrive in spite of whatever it is, regardless. But back to excellence, right? We can create excellence. It doesn't. We came up with a term in-rigged, like that. That means it's not done properly. Like all of these things get into our head, psychologically saying that our stuff is not as good. Let's be honest, okay? Back to music. We'll say that something is not valid until it, quote unquote, crosses over. Because it's not valid, it's just we buy it. It's got to cross over to have appeal. Why is that? Why is that? So so when we talk about those concepts, right, it's really deprogramming that what you have is less than, right? What you have is not as good as, right? Or the fact that what you have needs to be compared at all. It doesn't even need to be compared. It is what it is. It stands alone, right? It makes sense. Any more questions that we have coming over?
All right, so Betty Washington, she has another question. So
I like Betty. I like her last name too.
Yeah.
Come on, Betty.
Okay.
Wait, where is Betty at? Can you tell?
Let's see.
Well, give me your question and find out where she is.
All right. So how do we change the paradigm?
How do we?
This is it right here. This is it.
I love you, Betty. So, the first thing you do is you change yourself, and then you change your household, right? So, how do you change yourself? You stop saying, here's what, we're no longer arguing what happened 50 years, 40 years, 100 years, whatever. I'm not trying to convince anybody. It is what it is. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. I don't care, right? Because even if you do believe it, what are you going to do about it? It don't matter. Like, if you want to acknowledge history, fine. If you don't, whatever, right? But now you say, how how can I do better, right? Our forefathers, our moms and dads were trying to live, right? So how can we now take and move that beyond? How do we take the systems that have been set up in the United States and use it for our benefit? Economically, how do we do that? You know, people are mad at Trump when he said he didn't pay any taxes, but they didn't listen to what he said. He said, in a sense, he said, don't hate the player, hate the game. I didn't create these rules and laws. I just use them, right? Well, those same things can be utilized for us. Tax strategies, okay? Understand building wealth. You know, we've got a whole thing that we're doing now, helping to educate people on wealth building, right? We just did one on 401ks.
401k. So time out. Great questions. I do want to do prime that. So you'll be seeing that on Facebook and Instagram. We will be having a series of Wealth 101, Ebony-Opoly sponsored wealth, because this is one of the pillars or the motivators of this game is, yes, history, family, fun, but we also want to break the back of poverty, which starts with knowledge and the ability to implement the same systems that are in place. We can learn about them, and so we're going to see that. That's going to be on Clubhouse. Watch for that. Join us. Come with your questions. So it's the whole thing. The other thing is I want to take a few minutes, and I want the rest of our company to come up and say hi. Who's here?
Oh, they're all shy. Hold on.
I know they're all shy.
No.
Just say
Just
hi.
come wave. Come wave.
Come on.
Sharisha, you come wave. Come on up.
And your wife.
Come on, sweetie.
Bring your wife. Come on. Yes, this is our company. And your daughter. Well,
come
she's
wave.
in
Can you?
Right now.
Come on, Mrs.
So.
Mrs. Come on, Mrs.
Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. What's happening, man? What's that? Doing good.
Hi. How are you?
Come on up, sweetie. Wave at everybody.
So we may be the face, but this is the backbone of the company.
Where's Amber? Amber, come on up.
Oh, Amber, come on. This is my daughter. Over here, Hoo Hoo. I'm sorry, I call her by her little nickname.
Putting her name on.
So tell us who you are. This is my daughter, Amber. Say hi. Hi to the camera. And this is?
I'm Sharisha.
So Sharisha like the back. Let me tell you something. If you have ever had a meeting with any of us, it's not because we made it happen. It's because Sharisha made it happen. All the places that we traveled to, and we're gonna talk. We got to tell the story of this stuff, right?
My gosh.
And it's Sharisha making all that stuff happen. She's the one that really made. If you received your game,
That's right. It was Sharisha.
y'all give it up.
We thank God for Sharisha.
Alicia Hippill and Dwayne Washington did not send you your game. If you received that game, if you had to depend on us to send, you would you still be waiting. That is Sharisha making all that stuff happen. So she runs it all.
And then your wife. Introduce your wife.
Oh, this is my lovely wife of 26 years. Let me tell you something. I couldn't do nothing. I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't know to be here if it wasn't for my wife, Miss Tanisha. Mrs. Tanisha.
Woo!
Good deal. Who else we got standing up here? Come introduce yourself. Okay. Stand up here.
All right. How you doing? I'm Lionel Rogers, a community member. I go to church with.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So come through and just represent.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Y'all give it up for everybody.
You want to stay up here with us, Sharisha? Okay.
Sharisha like, nah,
Go sit
I
down,
wanna
Sue.
stay with y'all.
Careful of the cords, okay? Watch the cords. So just wanted to do that. Okay, so back to Betty. Betty, another question
How do we change
for
it?
Betty. How do we change the paradigm,
Yeah.
change yourself,
Yeah.
become educated? We had some conversations with Dr. Charles Steele when we first met.
Man.
He said some profound things about how we continue to grow and how we excel in life. And, one of the things he said is first read books. Read books, change your mind, educate your. Guess what? We're at the Doc Book Shop in Fort Worth, Texas. Come by, pick up a book, empower yourself. That's how we change the paradigm. So we learn from each other. We learn from our stories. Second,
Travel.
is to travel.
Yeah.
He asked, how many people in this room have a passport?
My daughter has one. Exactly. Every Black American should have a passport. Why? Because we should be traveling. That's how we expand our knowledge. That's how we change our paradigm. That's how we step out of what has been told about us and redefine that as we learn and bring that back to our families. The third
Build
area
relationships.
is build relationships. One of the things we are so excited about because of Ebony-Opoly is it takes a village. Dwayne and I had a relationship. Dr. Plummer and I had a relationship. We came together, we built a relationship. And from that point forward, we've been reestablishing, we've been creating relationships, relationships with Black-owned distributors, relationships with vendors, Black-owned vendors. So that's how we change the paradigm, Betty. Great question.
You know, and Dr. Anderson had just a great hierarchy. He was saying, and I'm gonna put it in Dwayne Washington terms, but he said, first off, get the money, right? Be economically sound. My bishop used to say the best way to help a poor person is, number one, don't be one, right? So start off economically sound. He said after you get the money, and you may not understand this next one, but after spending a year on Capitol Hill and then coming back and running for mayor in my own city, I can tell you this next one is important. You get the money so you can buy you a politician. Okay? It might sound
Oh my
horrible.
gosh.
It might sound horrible. He said it more eloquently than Dwayne Washington. I'm putting it in DW terms. Buy you a
This is a quote. Okay, so we're gonna have this all over the internet. He's not saying
You should buy a politician. He's rephrasing a statement.
Right, I'm rephrasing. So make sure that economically you can support your local and national politicians, right? Because that allows you to be able to have a voice there. Because what people don't realize, because this next one is get the law changed. People don't realize that politicians, for the most part, don't write laws, right? Individuals, companies, and those type of people actually write the laws, right? But you have to have influence with that particular politician so that when you bring that law in, it can be passed, right? So you may shop that around. So I'm just talking about how America really works. So get the money, have relationships with politicians, get the law changed, own your education, okay? Own your education, right? And then, sweetie, what's the fifth one? I missed. Oh, I can't. I don't know how. But just look up Dr. Anderson and those rules for Black America, and he literally, he does such an eloquent job of explaining each one of those tiers. But it starts with economic empowerment, and there's too much information out there now, guys, for you not for you to stay economically disenfranchised. You don't have to anymore. There's so many things that you can do. If you're looking at starting a business or anything, we've got a talk coming up telling you and teaching you how to be able to do that. In starting this game, this is not like the only thing we've ever done in life, right? There's a lot of things that we've done. So we can be able to help you with that and educate you in that area as well. And you can find mentors on your own, right? But there's too much information out there. There's too much help out there for us to remain where we are. Too much talent. Skill and ability that's out there.
When is the clubhouse on Ebony-Opoly Money Talk?
So it is Fridays at 7 o'clock, 7 Central Standard Time.
Okay.
7 to 8. So make sure you're part of that. You can find we're changing the name of it so that you can actually find it under the Ebony-Opoly tag. So I say by tomorrow, just go looking for that. It's talking about wealth building. All things associated with it. You can go back and listen to the one on 401ks.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Literally,
yeah.
I mean, in 1 hour conversation, taught you how to literally be able to invest in your 401k, how to utilize free money, retire a millionaire, like in regular, everyday, basic terms. So make sure to tune into that.
What are some of the topics that are coming up?
So we have getting out of debt and staying out of debt there. We have tax strategies, which if you have a business, if you don't have a business, you probably need a business. I literally was talking to my mom about this the other day. Like, Mom, you need to start a business. She's like, I don't want to run a business. You don't have to run a business, Mom. You need to start a business. Just trust me. I don't want to do it. Just trust me, Mom. Just trust me. Trust me. I pulled up. I pulled up my phone and I said, Mom, let me show you something. And last year, I wrote off $15,000 in miles that I drove, in miles. Okay, and we've got some great guys. We got some real estate guys here as well. They can start giving you the benefits and start talking about 1031 exchanges and putting money. I mean, it's just start your business. I'll just say it like that. So we got that. We have starting a business 101, so you can understand how to start a business. Do I do a DBA, a LLC, a C corp, S corp? What should I do? How should I do? Do I need $1 million to start? And let me tell you, no, you don't. Right? We'll talk about the basis of what a business is. Being able to grow that. How do you get investors? How do you get people to believe in you and move forward? So all those things are there. IRAs, talking about IRAs is there. There's this won't make any sense right now, but there's a concept we have called bill tricking. Basically, like if I was to pull up my cell phone, call any one of my bills, like TXU, that's our electric company, or something like that, like it would be negative, like thousands of dollars. Right? I don't owe anything, and they owe me thousands of dollars. And there's a way to do that. So there's a whole little concept that we created with that. So
tune in.
You don't want to miss those.
Yeah, changing the paradigm, Betty.
So where's Betty located? Did you find out?
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans.
New Orleans. We haven't been down there yet.
I feel a trip coming,
I feel
Dwayne.
a trip too. We gotta get down there.
I feel a trip coming. Yeah.
Are you from New Orleans? Yeah. Yes, sir. Oh, we got New Orleans in the house.
We got New Orleans in the house. All right.
So we got to get down to New Orleans to go see Betty. Betty, we'll come see you. Good deal. Hey, if you're listening in the chat or anything like that, shout out where you're from. Just say, I'm listening from here, I'm listening from there. All right, any other questions that we have? Yes, sir.
She did say something about what was the meaning of niggerization and deniggerization. This is my own take on it, my own definition. The process of niggerization was the process of taking our humanity.
Yeah.
The process of deniggerization is the process of getting back our humanity.
I like that.
I like that. That is great.
Reclaiming. I'm
Reclaiming our humanity.
right there.
Thank you.
Now check this out. So now Alicia talked a little bit about some of the things we were doing around the country. So now let's have a quick lesson on faith. on stepping out on faith.
Woo.
So we start saying, let's make this game and take it to the next level. And how are we doing on time? What time is it?
It is. We got half an hour.
Okay. So let's take this game to the next level. Let's start interviewing all of these people around the country. So we found a guy, perfect guy, at the Negro Leagues.
The Negro League Museum in Kansas City, Kansas.
So we thought, this is a perfect guy. You know, he's got
Oh my gosh, this story. You guys got to hear this story. Pay attention. Press record.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is a lesson on faith right here. This is a good one. So we thought, this is a great guy. He's on XM radio. It's perfect. He's literally sitting on 18th and Vine where the museum is, so we can get people on 18th and Vine. We can get the museum in and all of this stuff. We can get the Negro League stuff in there.
His name is Bob Kendrick.
Bob Kendrick. Look him up. Great guy, Bob Kendrick.
Fantastic human being.
So we decided, let's take a trip to Kansas City.
Oh my goodness.
And we're going to go on this date. So we booked it. And then we start telling Sharisha, hey, let's reach out to him so we can schedule a meeting.
Woo!
And, nothing happened. And I was driving up because I was bringing all the equipment. Alicia was flying in.
I don't drive.
So yeah, if it takes longer than 30 minutes to get there, she's going to be on a helicopter.
Where's the plane? How do I get there?
Oh, it's like I'm not doing that at all. I'm not. And I don't wait in lines either. I'm not. She made me get clear. Like, okay, I'm gonna get it. Like, no, I'm not waiting. I'm just
Why are you in?
Why you lying?
Why are you lying? That's too long. Come on.
That's a line. So anyway, so we're reaching out. Nothing. Okay. So the plan was we come in town, we interview him on Monday, right? So Alicia's flying out Sunday. She's getting ready to get on a plane. She's like, Dwayne, so we got the meeting stuff set up? I'm like, nope. She's like, is this still happening?
I'm getting on me and Amber are getting on a plane.
On a plane. Is this still happening? Here's me. Yeah, it's happening. So we're getting ready to drive. Was it like 8-hour drive, I think?
Yeah, it was about an 8-hour drive. You and
me and my wife.
You and wifey.
So wife, who believes in me, right? She looked at me and she said, sweetie, so have y'all got that meeting set up yet?
Sharisha.
I'm like, nah, we don't have that meeting set up. That battery just went out. You can switch that battery from. I'm like, no, we ain't got it set up yet. She was like, so what you gonna do? I said, it's gonna work out. I said, okay. Mind you, the plan was to interview on Monday. Okay. We found out the museum is actually closed on
Monday.
Okay. So then I'm thinking, so I get down there, we're in the hotel. I'm thinking, okay, I'll wake up tomorrow morning. At least I'll get drone shots of the place and then some other things we're doing. So we'll be fine. We come out the hotel. It's raining. Can't fly the drone. So they say, Dwayne, what we going to do? I said, we're going to the museum. Let's go to the museum. I said, the museum's closed. I said, yeah, I know. Let's just go. So we go down to the museum on 18th and Vine. And there's like a couple of cars. It's a street, right? So if y'all been there before, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like a strip. So it's not like a parking lot, right? It's just a strip. But there's a couple of cars in front. That's giving me hope, right? So I'm like, maybe somebody's there. So we stop, we get out. I go to the front door like I expect this door to be open.
Just open the door.
They're closed on Monday. Door opens up, no issue. I'm like, oh yeah.
The security guard.
Beeline.
Yep.
Security guard comes straight over and says, sir, I'm sorry, we're closed today. Without missing a beat. Oh, I know, we're here to meet with Bob Kennedy. Mind you, never met this man, never talked
No
to him.
appointment. Nope, he doesn't know we're coming.
He goes back. He said, "Oh, let me get him for you." I'm thinking, he's here. Like he's actually here. Like this is one of the cars. So the security guard comes back. He says, "Hey, he's back with somebody, but he says, come on back." Okay. So we step in the museum. I'm standing there. He's actually with a guy from one of the I don't know, ABC or NBC or somebody from New York. Okay.
Interviewing him.
Yeah, interview. Just so happened, like New York was playing Kansas City in some type of football game. They sent him down to come cover the game. He's like, since I'm here, let me call up the museum. The president's like, hey, since you're coming through, I'm gonna give you a personal tour. That's why he's there, right? We're standing there just quiet for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, look, you have no idea what we've done. You're standing right here.
We're from Texas.
Yeah, so we drove from Texas and flew in from Texas, literally just to talk to you. I'm so glad that you're here. We would love to interview you for this game you never heard of. He says, absolutely no problem. Set it all up. You got your stuff with you? We got all of our stuff with us. So we come in, we set the lights and everything up, and boom, we're good to go. Like right there. How many of y'all have been to that museum before? You ever? Okay.
Oh.
So you know how they have that baseball diamond in the middle? We did the interview sitting right in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah.
I flew a drone in there and everything, right? And stuff like that continues to happen. Like it just works out. Like no, we try to pre-plan. It's not that we don't pre-plan. Let me just say that. Like we try. But sometimes it don't work.
That don't work. But faith, because we're all of us, all the co-owners, the families are faith-based. We're faith-filled. And you'll be able to see that interview on the back of the cards.
Yeah, so you'll see a couple of them. So we were close to Paseo Drive, or Paseo Street. That's
and
actually
Vine
where the Negro League
and 18th
started.
Street.
Yeah, you'll see him on 18th and Vine. He's talking about that. Kaminsky, he's a little bit on that. And some of the ancillary stuff that we have. So we're also putting together a larger documentary that goes along with it, because as we start interviewing all of these people, we're like, this is some cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we did a launch at the SCLC headquarters in
Atlanta, Georgia.
You know, everybody, CNN came out. We didn't even invite CNN. Like it was a trip. And so, you know, Dr. Steele is there, and you know, Alicia mentioned Lady Steele earlier. We interviewed Lady Steele. She's talking about, you know, old boy's mom and what she said. It's just been an amazing journey, right? But it's not over.
It's not over.
Not over. So even though we're still pushing this game out all over the country, we want you to buy us a flagship one. Next year we've got a few more coming out. Like I said, we're just going to hint at one.
Stay tuned.
Y'all know the other ones, but
yeah,
for y'all, you know, you'll see. So we do have something coming up February 27th. Talk a little bit about that.
So, well, one of the strategies that we've used for this game is we'll go into a city or a town. We'll meet people like we met Bob Kendrick and Phil Armstrong in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or the SCLC or some. We'll go in and meet people, form relationships, and after a period of time, we'll come back and we'll do a game night. And that is where we give everyone an opportunity to, we'll open up a couple of the boards, get some people around, we'll have some food, some good times, and we'll spend some time where Dwayne and myself, we're in different rooms and we're curating the conversation. So we want the opportunity for people to be able to play the game. When they pick up one of these cards, instead of getting an email like, what does it mean? What eminent domain, what does that mean? What does sharecropping mean? Why is that significant? I don't understand. We will take the opportunity to really kind of dig deep into the meaning, the connections, the history. Some of these scenes on the chess and chance cards are because they were part of our background. We know that our grandparents and great-grandparents experienced this. And in that environment, people come together and they begin to connect their history with the scenarios that are on this game. And it's the most beautiful thing. So it's a game night. So what we want to do is, instead of doing that at one time, we're going to be filming at a couple of places here in the Metroplex. But we have, this is so sweet, we have people from around the country who are signing up on virtual to attend our virtual game-a-thon. How can you do that? Go to our website, www.ebony-opoly.com. You'll see a landing page there where you can sign your name, sign up to attend. We will send you a link. We'll be sending out this week emails and ways that you're going to be able to connect. We have about 2 hours we're setting up next week on the 27th, starting at
3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
3 p.m. Central. So how can we all together?
Wait, let me make sure. Is that the right time? I got to reach out to my folks and to see.
I think it's 3.
It is 3.
Yeah.
3 p.m. Central.
3 p.m. Central Time. All together, virtually, around the nation, we're going to have a game night, a game-a-thon. Dwayne will be hosting a site, I'll be hosting a site, and another partner, the voice of Ebony-Opoly, will be hosting. We'll be doing a little bit of what we're doing today. This is we just shared a little bit, and it's almost time for us to leave. We didn't even get beyond the creation of the game. But anyway, we'll be doing a little bit more about who we are, our mission, our vision, our goals, announcements, things that are coming up. And we want to, so if you want to be part of that, go to the website and sign up, because we'll be connecting people through the link so that they can come on board and, guess what, ask questions. Be a part of history. Yeah. It's history being made with history. So that is what we've got planned for game night. We've got some places that are just all around. A lot of the bookstores, some of our distributors in other states are going to be part of it. So you can either go to one of those places and be one of the participants, or you can just be at home. Grab your family, grab your friends, crack out the game, crack it open, play it, tune in with us, and dial in. We'll be connecting you all together. So we'll be asking questions, featuring people who have signed up. So that's what we have planned next week.
Now, if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, if you're in Fort Worth, you can go to the warehouse, 1125 East Berry. You can also come to the Dock Bookshop, where we are right now on Meadowbrook. If you are in Dallas, you can go to Pan African. If you are in Atlanta, Georgia, or the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia, you can go to the Listening Tree there with Omar. Have we got Detroit signed up yet? We're working on Detroit.
Sharisha? No,
Huh?
not yet.
Still a work in progress. Okay, so we're working on a spot right now in Detroit. We'll get back with you more. Follow
Baker's
us on all,
Bookstore.
Yeah,
Baker's
Baker's Bookstore.
Bookstore. So if you're in Detroit and you want a game, go to Baker's Bookstore. They're one of our distributor partners.
So, and follow us on all the social medias, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and all of those types of the YouTubes and the Facebooks. You can follow us there, and for more information as we come out, we put, Alicia is great putting snippets and stuff out there. Those pictures that she's talking about earlier with Bob and Phil and everybody, all that stuff's out there. So go take a look at that. And all the other things that we'll have will be there. So make sure to follow us there. And so, as she said, if you can be having a party at the house, it's fine. Invite the people. We'll invite you in. It could be just you and your family. You can go to one of those places. Or if you are an organization, okay? So we've got organizations that are also sponsoring different game nights. I think the Kappas here in Fort Worth are actually sponsoring one. There's some judges. There's some sponsoring one as well. Was there a question? Got a mouthful of food. I'm sorry, Rob.
I'm sorry, but I have a question. T-shirts.
Ah, T-shirts.
Glad you said that.
Ooh, that's
we
why
do have T-shirts.
That's
We always forget.
I'm hosting a party, do I get a T-shirt?
You said, do you get a T-shirt? Danya,
If I'm hosting a party.
if you're hosting up now, you individually,
yes.
I will make sure that you have a T-shirt because you are awesome. I think the Doc was the very first bookstore to start selling Ebony-Opoly. I think so. I think so.
You made history?
Yes, you made
History, making history, making history.
I'm thinking. I want to make sure I'm not lying. I think y'all were the first one.
It is now. It's on. We recorded
You sold out
it.
again already?
Are you sold out? Oh, we need.
So let me tell you something. If you are a bookstore, I know he don't play, right? He come through and clean him out. If you are a bookstore, be handing them out. He's like, man, I got him from this tall guy in Fort Worth. So, if you're a bookstore and you're looking at carrying, same thing. Email info@ebonyopoly.com. Because one of the things that we'll do when you're carrying the game, we'll send our folks in that area to you, right? And even when we start seeing people, a lot of people in the area, like we were just in Arkansas, we went to the store. We're like, look, today we're delivering one in Little Rock, Arkansas. So yeah, we like sending them to you so that you can
distribute
participate
them.
in that as well. So if you do have a store that you would like to distribute the game, make sure to let us know. info@ebonyopoly.com. You can, if you're looking at buying the game today, there's two things. Number one, use the code FREESHIP2020 so that you can get a free ship, all one word, 2020, all one word. I'm sorry, 2022. Free ship 2022, so you can get some free shipping. And we also have there available for the first time our combo pack. So you can get a shirt and a game. Now let me tell you something, y'all. These games sell out quickly.
Okay, so please pay attention because I promise you.
This is not something, I know people try to say, get it quick before it sells out, and they're just saying something. No. I'm not just saying something.
Facts.
Make sure. Look at that. Hey, and the first time y'all got games,
Do you want us to sign your
out?
game?
Oh, that day.
That day. Sold out that day.
Only about 5 that day.
Do you have a pen?
Yeah, they got pins back there real quick.
Oh, okay.
All right. And we'll get them in just a second, too. So any other questions? So two things that we're going to do. If you buy the game today, Sharisha, you're here. So all the people that buy the game today, they're going to get an autographed copy of the game. Okay, so we're going to sign those games for the people that order them right now. So if you're watching online, send this to another person, a brother, a sister, a cousin, whatever, your fraternity. Let them know, hey, buy it today. If it's there before midnight, we will personally sign them.
So if you do that, if you buy the game today and want us to sign it, please follow up with an email.
Yeah, do that too.
We can make sure we have good records of it.
Yeah.
Let
So
us know.
if you wanted to say anything very specific, let us know, and we'll do that for you. All right. How much it retails for regular price is $49.99. I think it's on sale here, right? So 40. If you buy them here, $39.99. Okay, so retail price is $49.99. So you'll see that price up here. Huh?
Oh,
Yes.
and that's one of the questions we get. We, one of the questions we get is, the price.
Yeah.
So
So, like I said, retail price is $49.99. Sometimes you can catch them on sale for like $39.99. I think the doc has them on sale right now. So, go down there and grab it. Grab it quick. Remember, free ship 2022 to be able to get that free shipping. All one word. Any other questions before we get out of here?
we have a few more minutes.
What'd you say? We got a Sharpie.
We've got the Sharpie.
No, but seriously, the t-shirt thing.
Oh, T-shirts.
You're part of you do financial literacy, right?
Yes.
Then you should also do the t-shirts, really, like Greenwood and, we need shirts with all that you have on the board and stuff.
Oh.
that's hot.
Okay.
I think I can heard your
So what the question was from our audience today was that we currently have these shirts, Ebony-Opoly. Our history shouldn't be a mystery. But Donna said we need to have shirts with the properties. Yeah, okay.
So when you see that next week available,
simple shirts, like you have that.
Yeah.
so maybe one property on it.
Or a couple of the properties.
So people like
A montage.
simple shirts.
Yeah, just make it simple.
I mean, I got a lot of shirts with a lot of stuff on it. I need something with simple.
Simple. Ebony-Opoly with Greenwood on it. And then another one maybe, we come out with like once a month, something like that. Oh, you know what? That's what I'm talking
Oh
about.
my goodness.
That's what I'm talking
Start with Greenwood.
So you know what? Listen, for all your entrepreneurs, okay? Ideas come from everywhere. Don't ignore them, right? When I say that's a great idea, I'm not saying that y'all will see that as a product. Ask my wife.
I know what the way we
You will see it as a product. They will have it for sale here. She will be sporting one that we put her in. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you take advantage of opportunities when they come to you. They can come to you in all different forms. Okay, just make sure to remember that.
Like if they have a game night, if people have a game night, and whoever wins, they can give them the T-shirt.
Yeah, I'll see. See, that's what I'm. Geniuses. Also, surround yourself with geniuses.
That's right.
It works out well too.
It works out well.
Okay. Any other question or comment before we close it down?
Have you approached the United States Black Chamber with this game?
Chamber.
United States. There's a United States Black
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was like just cities.
No, I thought you were talking about the Black Caucus.
Which is referenced in our game.
So I'm gonna tell you what's so cold. So the answer to your question is no,
Okay.
Not yet.
not yet.
We know the guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we could.
This happens all the time, y'all. Dwayne goes, "Oh my gosh, I forgot I know this person. I know this."
Duh. We have all these duh moments. So once again, guys, I don't know if you were here. He's talking about how we reached out to the Black Chamber, the United States Black Chamber. Actually, we have one of the heads of the Black Chamber here in town, actually in the room with us right now. And quite honestly, here's the crazy part. Like, this is my friend. I don't think I reached out to the Black Chamber here.
From Morehouse, by the way.
You know what I'm saying?
We have a new CEO too.
Oh, really?
First black female.
Really? We got to talk. Okay. Let's make sure that we get a picture with everybody too before we leave in front of the spot. It'd be
Yeah.
great.
So-
Any other questions online that we have?
I think that was the last one.
The last one. So we've got about 6 minutes. We want to really say that for everybody that tuned in, thank you so much. Thank you for the support, the love, the thanks for, putting us together. Is overwhelming, and it really encourages us. We're just so happy to do it. We're having fun. We want you guys to have fun with us. This game is about fun, but they call it edutainment. That's a new terminology. Another thing I didn't realize in gaming. We didn't realize, but
we want to have fun with you. We thank you for joining in. If you have any questions, contact us at info@ebonyopoly.com. If you know of somebody who would like a bookstore that you want us to approach, write that in. Let us know. If you want to sponsor us when we're coming to your city, we're going to make it to just about every city.
Have y'all been to Mahogany Books in
Where?
Mahogany Books?
What state?
No.
DC. I think she's in DC. They're
Okay.
really good out there.
Do you know her?
Yeah, Ramunda.
Let's
Okay,
talk.
we'll talk.
What about Marcus Books out in Oakland and San
You
Francisco?
gotta give me
Marcus?
a list of all the books.
We'll give you a list.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Yeah.
We have
Okay.
all of them.
That was the oldest black bookstore.
Really? In
Oh,
Oakland.
definitely.
We'll reach out.
Yeah.
Still open.
Yeah.
We'll reach out.
All right. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your questions.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys February 27th. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thank y'all for watching. Appreciate you.
How do I turn this off?
No idea.
Huh? You have my phone, Diane? No.